Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Monday, March 30th, 2020. Today I'm going to recap the latest with the coronavirus and some news regarding that. American Idol last night. I'm going to recap it, and I'm also going to recap the iHeartRadio Living Room concert that was on TV for an hour on Fox. Some classic games that were on some of the networks over the weekend, and my top 10 NHL players of 2019. All right, I'm going to start with the coronavirus. A lot of big news from the weekend regarding this. Joe Diffie passed away at the age of 61, the famous country singer from the 90s. Two great songs of his, in my opinion, were Pick Up Man and Prop Me Up by the Jukebox. Just unfortunate that he had COVID-19 and obviously he passed due to it, and thoughts and prayers to his family and his friends and the country music world. It's a big loss, sudden loss, and it's just really sad. Like, the deaths keep going up, the cases keep going up, but what else is going up is the recoveries, and that's something that has to be remembered as well. There's a lot of people that are actually recovering from this as well, so good on those people as well. Two big names in sports tested positive. It came out James Dolan, the chairman of Madison Square Garden, the owner of the New York Knicks and New York Rangers. Get well to him, and hope he gets well soon. Unfortunate because on social media, of course, everybody's making fun of James Dolan and he's the worst, yada yada. You hear all the immature people on the internet. And I personally think that's rude to make fun of somebody with the coronavirus, regardless of their condition, because there's people dying from this disease. Like, it's just not nice. And yes, I've been very critical of James Dolan on this podcast and on social media. But seriously, I hope he gets well soon, and hopefully he stays quarantined, which apparently he is, because he was supposed to have like that quote-unquote fix it up with Charles Oakley, but they asked Dolan is not attending that, obviously, because he is in quarantine. So apparently, he has little to none symptoms. I have a feeling that they knew about this, but they didn't want to say anything until he got better, or if it was getting worse, like until they knew like how he was doing. So, also the James Dolan, and somebody from the NBA media tested positive for COVID-19. That is ESPN's Doris Burke. The crazy thing about this was that she was calling that last nationally televised game on ESPN the night that the NBA suspended its season with Ryan Ruocco. It was Nuggets Mavericks, and as far as I'm concerned, nobody from either of those teams tested positive, but a staff or a member of the Nuggets organization tested positive. I wonder if that person was at that game, and maybe it was around Doris Burke. So, and apparently Doris is doing a lot better. She spoke on Adrian Wojnarowski's podcast, the Woj Pod, and she said she was doing better. So that's good. Hopefully, Doris Burke gets well soon as well. And the other big thing to come out of this is that social distancing has been continued on till April 30th. This does not come to a surprise for me at all. There's, like I said, the tests just keep rising and rising and rising. Or the test positives keep going up and up and up. The deaths keep going up and up and up. And Trump just wants this country to be safe again, and so do the rest of the governors of all these states. And hotfully it is back to normal sooner rather than later. And then there's a rumor over the weekend that Trump was considering hotspot quarantines in the tri-state area, but that really hasn't come into fruition yet. Trump has not spoken about that, but obviously the big in terms of the nationwide news is that social distancing will take place until April 30th. So that gives us exactly a month to be continuing to live this social distancing life. If things are back to normal in a month from now, I think it's a win, because you keep hearing different stuff each day. Like, this may not go away for a year. You're hearing even a month, you're hearing 6 months, you're hearing a whole bunch of different rumors, but you just got to keep staying positive and staying home, washing your hands, and do not touch your face or your eyes or your mouth or your nose. So hopefully everybody is just staying safe through what is obviously a very trying time for our country. Now I'm going to talk about American Idol from last night. No episode tonight, by the way. The next episode's going to be a week from tonight, with the second half of the selections for the top 20. What they showed on this episode last night, Nick Merico was first. He performed When I Was Your Man by Bruno Mars. Obviously, this was like a 2-day taping thing in terms of the episode. Like, they did the performances one night, and then the next day they spoke with the judges for their fates. So Nick Merico sang When I Was Your Man by Bruno Mars, and I thought it was a good performance. I thought it was one of his better performances, and he made it through to the top 20. Michaela Brownlee, who was the girl that passed out and had a seizure in the solo round, performed More Hearts Than Mine by Ingrid Andress. I thought this was a good performance, and she did not go through to the top 20. That, to me, was a mistake that I think that they could very well regret down the road. I thought she was very talented. Dwayne Crocker Jr. performed Old Town Road by Lil Nas and Billy Ray Cyrus. That got the crowd going. I thought that was one of the better performances of the night. He made it through to the next round. Cameron Lee Smith performed Break Every Chain by Tasha Cobbs Leonard. She did not make it through. I was not impressed with Cameron Lee Smith this episode, to be quite honest. Devin Alexander performed Tell Me You Love Me by Demi Lovato. He did not go through. I wasn't impressed by the song choice by him. Jordan Jones performed Redbone by Childish Gambino, and he did not go through either. And Gina Fontella performed Finesse by Bruno Mars. She did not go through either. Louis Knight performed Castle on the Hill by Ed Sheeran. He went through. I thought he did a nice job. He's somebody that, I don't think that was his best performance, to be quite honest, but I love his potential, and I think he could go far in the competition. Francisco Martin performed Falling by Harry Styles. He made it through. I thought this was his best performance so far. I wasn't a huge fan of Francisco. I thought that he sucked in the duo round when he performed with Lewis, when they performed Break Even by The Script. But he really has gotten better since then, and he earned himself a spot in the top 20. Jovan Webb performed You Are the Best Thing by Ray LaMontque. He made it through. Faith Bentel sang Ain't Nobody by Rufus and Chaka Khan. She made it through. I was not impressed with her performance. I thought that Michaela Brownlee should have gone in over her. Amber Fielder performed Good Kisser by Lake Street Drive. She did not go through. I was not impressed with her. The best performance of last night, in my opinion, and it wasn't even close, Just Sam performing a song Como La Flor by Selena, a very Spanish song. She dressed beautifully. She was very feminine. She obviously made it through. She was fantastic, in my opinion. Johnny West performed You Found Me by The Fray. I thought this was one of his better performances. What annoyed me is that they kept cutting to his girlfriend Margie, who got kicked off in the previous round. That annoyed me so much. I feel bad for Johnny because I think Idol's making it too much to be about Margie. This is Johnny's time to shine. He made it through into the top 20. And then the last performance, Dylan James, he performed the times they are a changing by Bob Dylan, and I thought he was very good. But typical American Idol in American Idol fashion, said you'll find out his result in the next show instead of after the break. So we don't know if Dylan James got through yet. I assuming he does go through. I thought he had a good performance. And then you're going to see a lot of different people's fates coming up. Michaela Phillips, you'll see. Sophia Wackerman. Franklin Boone. Perrin York. Arthur Gunn. Jeb Vonderbu. And Genevieve you'll see as well. So I'm interested to see the fates of those people. And there's a couple other ones. Lauren Spencer Smith you'll see on the next show. You'll see Elena and Travis, Shannon. You're going to see a lot of these top 40 contestants on the next show. So should be a good show. And then something I forgot to mention last week was that they said a twist that will be a first in Idol history. They said that last week. And then they said it again this week. So you'll find out what that is next Sunday. And my prediction is that the twist for the first time in Idol history is that they have to postpone the live tapings of the top 20 due to COVID-19. It's obvious. That's what it is. I'd be shocked if it's not that, to be quite honest. And Ryan came on before the show. It was like a clip of him. They must have taped it from his home or something. And he said that this was taped in January and hope that these performances will help you get through these trying times. So I personally think that the twist that will be a first in Idol history is the postponement of the live tapings of the performances due to COVID-19. And speaking of the virus, a good cause last night on Channel 5 on Fox, the Living Room Concert, iHeartRadio, hosted by one Sir Elton John. He was a great host. They couldn't have picked a better host, to be honest. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a huge fan of Elton, but he was wonderful. And there's a lot of appearances in terms of singers, in terms of whether they sang or not. And then there are some artists that did not perform but just made appearances on the show, sending messages to the viewers of the show. And it was a live show, too, which made it pretty impressive. The first performance was Alicia Keys. She sang Underdog. Backstreet Boys were next from their respective living rooms. They performed I Want It That Way. Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters performed My Hero. That was a great performance, I thought. Billie Eilish, along with her brother, performed Bad Guy. And I thought it was very strange of Billie Eilish, the way she performed, to be quite honest. Very, quarantine-themed, lazy in the living room. She's like, bad guy. Doing her thing. But I thought she did a good job, even though it was from her living room, just like everybody else's performances were. Camila Cabello performed My Oh My with Shawn Mendes playing the guitar. Billie Joe Armstrong of Green Day performed Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Tim McGraw performed Something Like That in his backyard. Sam Smith performed How Do You Sleep a cappella. Demi Lovato performed Skyscraper. H.E.R. performed Insecure. Mariah Carey performed Always Be My Baby. I think one of her best songs that is not a Christmas song. And the last performance was the host himself, Sir Elton John, performing the chorus of Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. And the irony of this is in the middle of the show, or maybe it was in the beginning of the show, he said something about him not having a piano in his home from where he was recording. And then after Mariah's performance, he's like, I lied, I have a keyboard here. And he didn't say what song he was going to perform, but he ended up performing the chorus of his song, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. And non-singing appearances, Ken Jeong of The Masked Singer popped on and sent a nice message. Russell Wilson and Ciara popped on. Ryan Seacrest, ironically, popped on. Lady Gaga, who I thought was going to perform in this, but all she did was say a message. Lizzo, who didn't perform, but she made a FaceTime appearance with Elton. And Ellen DeGeneres said a message towards the end of the show, too. So that was nice of Ellen for popping on this nice program put together by Fox. So a very good living room concert for sure. Something that I think got a lot of people happy and singing along with all the singers that were performing from their living room. All right, another living room concert will be happening on April 5th, a CBS country living room concert. A lot of big names are supposed to be on this as well. Sunday, April 5th at 8 o'clock on CBS. Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani, Brad Paisley and Darius Rucker, Brandi Carlile, Carrie Underwood, Dierks Bentley, Eric Church, Florida Georgia Line, Kane Brown and John Legend, Keith Urban, Kelsey Ballerini, Lady Antebellum, Little Big Town, Luke Bryan, Luke Combs, Miranda Lambert, Old Dominion, Shania Twain, Sheryl Crow, Thomas Rhett, and Tim McGraw. That is a great lineup full of country stars. So that is an absolute must watch on April 5th that I want to bring up real quick. And I'm very looking forward to this. And I wonder what Darius and Paisley will sing together. I wonder if it's going to be a Hootie and the Blowfish song that they'll do as a duo. Or maybe they'll sing one of Brad's songs. Florida Georgia Line, I wonder what they'll perform. I'm surprised the Zac Brown Band isn't in this. Maybe there's more involved in this and they're a surprise guest. Who knows? But I'm surprised Zac Brown's not involved in this. That's a little disappointing in my opinion because he's a good country singer and there's all the best of the best in this country lineup on April 5th. So I want to point that out very quickly. Now I'm going to talk about the classic games that were on some of the sports networks from the weekend. Super Bowl 51 between the Patriots and the Falcons, where the Patriots came back from 28-3 down against Matt Ryan and the Falcons. That was on Fox Sports 1. Tom Brady posted a Instagram story of him watching the game, so that's pretty ironic. 2013 NBA Finals Games 6 and 7 between the Heat and the Spurs. Obviously, we all know what happened in Game 6. Spurs up 5 with less than 30 seconds to go. Greg Popovich takes Tim Duncan out of the game for defensive possessions, which came back to bite him. And I think if Tim Duncan were in those games, maybe they get the rebounds and maybe they are two-time defending NBA champions, and Kawhi Leonard could very well be a 3-time NBA Finals MVP. So that's something to think about in terms of NBA what-ifs. And in Game 7, that was a close game, too. Nobody talks about that game. The Spurs had a lead in that game as well. I believe they were up double digits, and then Mike Miller got hot from 3. And then LeBron James had a really big fourth quarter to help lead the Heat to their repeat of back-to-back titles. 2009, Game 163 in Major League Baseball between the Tigers and the Twins. Rick Porcello pitched that game for Detroit, and he was coming into his own a little bit, establishing himself as a solid Major League Baseball pitcher. It's funny how things work out. That Tigers team, I thought, was better than that Twins team because of the roster was better. Justin Verlander, Miguel Cabrera, Porcello, Doug Fister. There's a lot of big names on that roster. And the Twins had a good offense, but their pitching wasn't all that spectacular. They had Joe Mauer. They had Justin Morneau, who was injured and didn't play in that game. They had Michael Kadire on that team. There's a couple other big names on that roster as well. And then the Twins ended up winning that game in walk-off fashion. So that was a really, really good game. 2019 Winter Classic between the Bruins and the Blackhawks from Notre Dame Stadium. That was a good, entertaining game, but I wouldn't consider that like an all-time classic. But that was just weird that was on TV. 2019 Stanley Cup Playoffs first round Game 7 between the Knights and the Sharks. But Barclay Goodrow, the overtime winner, when San Jose came back from 3-1 down to win that series to go on to the second round. When they eventually, I believe they lost in the next round. But I don't remember. I need to think about that. But they ended up moving on. Oh, they beat Colorado in the next round, I think. And then they lost to the Blues in the conference finals. That's how I think it played out, but I really don't remember at this point. But yeah, Barclay Goodrow, overtime winner in Game 7 in the tank there in San Jose. So a lot of good games that I got to watch this weekend, and there's going to be a lot of more classic games that are going to be on within the next couple days. NBA TV was also sharing old 90s games with Jordan against the Pacers and the Knicks. Knicks Bulls 94 without Jordan when the Knicks won in Game 7 at Madison Square Garden. When Patrick Ewing helped lead the Knicks to the finals in 94. There's a bunch of other good games on. Flyers Blackhawks 2010 Stanley Cup Finals Game 6. Patrick Kane, the overtime winner, which broke the Stanley Cup drought for the Blackhawks. And that was the start of their little dynasty that they had in the beginning of last decade. And there's a bunch more on as well. And any other ones I catch within the next few days, I'll discuss on the podcast for sure. And last but not least, speaking of the NHL, my top 10 players of the NHL of 2019. So without further ado, here we go with that. Number 10, Braden Point, Tampa Bay Lightning. He had a good 2019, being that points distributor he's been for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Number 9, Steven Stamkos, Tampa Bay Lightning. Same thing. Injuries have slowed him down a little bit, but when he's healthy, like he was in 2019, really has reminded everybody of what kind of player he is when he's healthy. Number 8, Patrick Kane, Chicago Blackhawks. He's lower because the Blackhawks haven't been good. But that's not really his fault, though. He's still a points machine in the NHL. Number 7, David Pastrnak, Boston Bruins. Another awesome player. Led the NHL in goals when the season hit its pause, but he's certainly been a great contributor for the Bruins of late, and certainly in the calendar year 2019. Number 6, Brad Marchand, Boston Bruins. On the best team in the NHL in this year's regular season, and they made the Stanley Cup Final as well. Number 5, Leon Draisaitl, Edmonton Oilers. A very big points distributor and helping lead the Oilers to what will probably be a playoff berth if they decide to resume the season. 4, Alex Ovechkin, Washington Capitals, still being the elite scorer he is today, being on what has been the best team in the Metropolitan Division. Number 3, Connor McDavid, Edmonton Oilers. In my opinion, still the best overall player in the NHL. But he's number 3 on this list because the Oilers did not make the playoffs in 2019, but assuming they restart the season, they will in 2020. And in the calendar year 2019, the Oilers got off to a good start of the season as well, and he's a big part of that as well as Draisaitl. 2, Nathan MacKinnon, Colorado Avalanche, helped lead the Avs to the playoffs last year and into the second round. And the Avs are having another good season this year. And number 1, Nikita Kucherov, Tampa Bay Lightning. the 2019 Hart Trophy winner, having another great season this year as well. Alrighty, tomorrow's show, I don't know what top list I'm going to do. Maybe top 10 NFL games of 2019, or maybe I'll do a pop culture one. You'll have to wait and see to find out. So, tomorrow I'll recap the latest with the coronavirus, any other news that breaks in the world of sports. Maybe I'll do a redraft. We'll see. I hope you guys have a great day, everybody.